virgin?
I am.
Oh my God, I love this. This is the most original guest we've ever had on. And what are you, 39?
I am.
Oh my God, that dam is gonna break one day, baby. And
let me tell you right now. People were like, oh, Ivan, I was like, pray for him, whoever he is. Why do you don't pray for him? You get a lot of pent up energy up in here.
Oh my God, and you're gonna hit your sexual peak when you start having sex. So yeah, you're gonna need a couple of men probably.
Ivan went from being a virgin to polyamory.
All right, so that's what the base of the conversation happened. So this is what Shannon Sharpe and Ocho Cinco talked about with each other. Here we go.
I didn't tweet you, but I tweeted my followers. I said, listen, what y'all think about this God-fearing woman who has herself aligned in the right places being unionized with because she would be perfect for you and what you have going on. Not only is she walking the path of righteousness, but she has the vision that can open the door where you trying to get to. Now, what you think about that?
I'm looking for a sinner. I'm looking for a sinner. Send me Miss Nasty B. What her name was? The one that you
Miss Nasty B?
Umbrella?
Miss Nasty?
Yeah, I'm looking for. I don't want nobody walking straight and narrow.
Oh, come on.
Nah.
So,
I want a sinner.
Listen, I thought we as
that's what I'm looking for.
We always talk about toxic relationships or toxic environments, and now you have a perfect opportunity. You have the perfect opportunity to get you somebody that is aligned with your core values in the way you was raised by your grandma. You was raised in the church, right? You was raised in the church? Yeah. This is a God-fearing woman. This is exactly what grandma would want. This is what I want for you. This is what I want for you, man. I'm telling you, this will prepare you into a world you've never been before. Think about before you do nightcap with Uncle Ocho, me, you, and Yvonne. We have prayer right before we do each show.
There you go.
Stay with me now. Yeah, stay with me. I'm telling you, you need a woman like that in your life.
Yeah. Give me Miss Nasty B. I had a bottle right there by my bed. Lord, forgive me for what I'm about to do.
Jesus. Lord, forgive me for what I'm about to do. Wow. Sinners. Yeah, so yeah, that was Unc and Ocho.
Yeah, so the thing about it, man, is like, it's first of all, it's playing with fire, even when you're joking about it. And it's sad, too, because it feels like, to me, it was completely contradictory of the conversation he had with Brittany Renner. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to explain to Brittany Renner why she shouldn't do what she does, and then he, like, trying to make a path to cleanliness and purity for her, but then he comes on and he talks about the exact opposite, right? Mm-hmm. So making fun of it is not cool. I don't think that was good. But I like Ocho because Ocho always challenges him to be better. I was watching one where I guess this might be where this whole like conversation between those two started, but I was watching one where Shannon Sharpe was talking about how he spends $50,000 on his private jet to go fly across the country. And he was like, bro, like $50,000 for one flight is ridiculous. And he was like, well, what am I supposed to do with my money? He was like, man, share it. Take it to other people. So I think in this situation, man, it was a good challenge by Ocho. And it was genuine. Like he said, man, we could have prayer and Bible study before we get on the podcast. And he was just joking it off like that. So, I guess what I would call that the necessary L that you usually give.
No, I won't give you no necessary L. That's his personal preference. I would say this. I think the real question is basically, do men want virgins? Like, I think that's the real question. Do godly men? I mean, I don't know what we call Shannon Sharpe a godly man, but do men?
No, let's not.
Do men in the church want virgins? Because I asked people in here, some people was like, I don't know, da da da. So I'm thinking at the end of the day, like, men...
What you mean you asked some people in here?
I did ask some people in here.
You didn't ask that question. You didn't ask that question.
I asked y'all... No. Before y'all got here, some people I asked that question. Y'all said no.
You asked people who had been married.
I'm still saying.
That's different.
Okay, you want me to ask the question? You want me to...
You ask the question.
Okay, the question was this.
Zara and Camo.
See how he backpedaling? Ocho Ryan? So I guess the question is this. Okay, so the question I asked him was, God forbid, I think both of you guys are married or okay, no, okay. Relationship. Okay.
Get married soon.
Okay. Well, anyway, so if you taste the forbidden fruit, quote unquote, as a married man, But then, God forbid, something happened to your wife, and you had to start over again and get in the dating process. And you met a woman; she was everything your looks, everything, blah blah blah.
Okay.
But you found out during marriage or with y'all conversation that she was saving herself for marriage, like the way she's supposed to biblically. Would you be like, nah, I'm good, or would you be like, okay, this is a good thing?
You want to go first?
No, I say it's a good thing. Like, especially like you said, so this individual, she never been married before, so she's been saving herself.
Yeah.
I think so. For me, the reason I say it's a good thing, I say yes, is because the way I view sexuality and like the whole context that God like his intention for it.
Yeah.
My view on that informs like how I feel about this topic. So without that, it's just like whatever. So I think it really goes back to like where you're getting your like morals and like principles on sexuality from, and that's going to inform your answers. For me, I say yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. Okay. So for me personally, how I feel is that like not all Christians, but there's some Christians that put sex on a pedestal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not even what it's about. Like, you want to look at that person's heart posture, how they view the world, how they treat people, how they view God, you know what I'm saying? But like folks, they put purity on a pedestal and all that stuff, and that's not even what it's about. Because like a person could not have sex or could have sex and be a terrible person, like inside their heart. So like wherever like that woman is, like as long as we have a connection, as long as she's aligned with God and we align with each other, that's all that really matters to me.
So Ryan, what did you say?
I said no. I said no. I said no because I think that there's what's the best way for me to say it? Like, I was a virgin when I got married.
Yeah.
And I think that the longer it has been for you, the more it's going to be, the harder it's going to be to normalize it. Right?
What do you mean?
Like the longer it's been that you've been set in a certain way, the harder it's going to be for you to normalize it, right? So I'll give you an example.
So you're basically saying if you're used to having sex and then you have to stop again because, of course, something God forbid happened to your wife, and then you had to find another wife, then that would be more harder for you since you eating the...
No. I'm talking about the other person.
Yeah, you saying it would be harder for the other person.
It's harder for the other person.
You think the other person would be like... you think the woman that's Yvonne would be harder to be with you than vice versa?
Yeah, I do, because I think the church has gotten... I've had this conversation with so many Christian men, man. I think the church has really gotten the whole, like... sex and purity thing wrong.
Oh yeah,
I think they just
100%.
and I think that even as a virgin going into my wedding night, I was still on a miscue from what the church was telling me about this act, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me it was more like shame, right?
Yeah.
And trying to live down that shame versus this being the number one thing God created me for. Right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, it would be hard for me to help that person understand the act of everything versus,
But okay, so going back to what we had that conversation about Miles Monroe, right? Back in like a couple of weeks ago when we talked about it, and we talked about how you supposed to be the man to help your wife and lead your wife and stuff like that. Wouldn't that be a situation where you would lead her into learning her? Is it that you just don't want to learn this person?
We got
all
a hand
over?
raised.
Bro, yeah, because that's literally what I was. So my whole thing, like, purity culture trauma is very, very real. So all those negative like feelings and connotations that are put around the topic of sex because of that is very, very real. And so like you were talking about, like, even in being in a space where God's like, all right, go ahead. You still feel like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that going back to my response, like me getting my like whole ideology around sex reshaped and relearned, because I grew up the same way. It was just like sex, nope.
Wow.
None of that. Nope. Yeah. And I'm just like, dang, this is like a bad thing. But it's like, no, this is a beautiful representation of like the two becoming one. This is a beautiful representation of our faith in the context of marriage. You know what I'm saying? So it, as hard as it is, it's like you gotta, if you're an individual, like Jeremiah was saying, who has this like the true revelation of what the intention for sex is, going into something with someone who may be struggling with the purity culture and all that.
Yeah.
I think it is a dope opportunity to kind of step in and build intimacy with them by even helping bring them to this point as well. So I mean, it's obviously going to take work and time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I'm sorry. There needs to be we need to teach people more about sex and what it is and how it relates to the partner. That
yes.
That's the problem. Like folks see it as a trophy that's being gate kept.
Yes.
Past marriage when it's really something that you do with your spouse. To glorify God. We need more teaching on it.
I tell you, one of the things I struggled with was my virginity was my halo. Right. Mm-hmm. And when I got married, I was like, man, I identified and it's wrong for me. Right. It was so wrong. And it's just my upbringing. But I used my virginity as a halo around my Christianity. Mm-hmm. That was my litmus test. Okay. Even though I was a good person, I was living my life for God. I was living for God. I was, involved in the church, serving the Lord, starting ministries like Trackstarz with Sean and Jeremiah. I still was looking at my virginity as the halo that lets you know that I'm a Christian and I'm living for God. So when I got married, I struggled with, how do I separate myself from the next man, and how do I love God more, and how do I show God I'm still in love with him, even though I'm no longer standing behind this. And it's very traumatic when you think that you have when you think that you figured something out that is pleasing to God, and it's well, no, that was the wrong way to go about pleasing God. You weren't pleasing him because you were living your life a certain way. You were pleasing him because you loved him. Over the peer pressure that you were facing. But I will say this, I think I told my wife this one day, and she was like, well, explain that to me, right? I told my wife that I was single for 29 years before I was in a real relationship. And then when I met my wife, we dated for 7 days before I asked her to be my girlfriend. 3 months later, I proposed. 6 months later, we got married. Okay. We did everything in 11 months. Oh, wow. So I was telling my wife one day, I was like, I'm still, because 29 years of my life and I've been married for 12, I'm still more comfortable as a single person, right? I'm still used to that. I'm in a position now where I'm a father of 4 and I'm a married man, that I'm still getting used to dying to my flesh every day. You know what I'm saying? Not watching what I want to watch, but making sure the kids have had what they had, or they need something and my wife needs something, and I'm putting myself out. I'm still in that point where I'm struggling to let that go, right? And I think we all do that. And so I was telling her, that was one of the reasons why I identified more comfortably as a single man, because for 29 years, that's all I knew. That's all I did. You know what I'm saying? And even as an adult, majority of my adult life, I was single, more so than I have been married and been a father. But so it's an adjustment.
But I still think even that adjustment is something that you have to figure out yourself, to be when you said I do, is now not me, is we.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? So it's even with that adjustment, and not get it, that's a learning process of you learning how to be more husband-like, more father-like, if you're talking about your kids. So I think those things can be hard, but I think at a certain time, that transition has to take place where it's as a husband, now it's more I can't just think about my needs. I got to think about our needs together.
I don't equate it to that. I equate it to shyness. You know how some people are going to be shy all their life? Yeah. My pastor is shy. Yeah. If you talk to him one-on-one, he's shy. Yeah. But when he's in the pulpit, you can't tell. Yeah. So when you're shy and it's something that you just can't get over, I equate it to people being shy, people being introverted, and now they're having to change because they married the same person as them, or they married an opposite. And so you're trying to just blend now, right? No. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to use a single man's life to blend into being married as a father.
But I guess the question is, how long does that take? Because I think some stuff is a shift for us as men to when you get married, you have to shift from that singleness. Regardless how long it's been, you're going to have to die to stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You have to crucify your flesh daily, the scripture says. So if crucifying my flesh daily means that, I got to think about if we have something in the food in the refrigerator that I know Maya wants, more than I wanted, I have to die to that and say I eat something totally different than what she. You get what I'm saying? So I think that's what that has to be. Where we talk about being married in those steps. And I know sometimes it takes a while, but sometimes when we say that, and I'm not saying this is you, sometimes when we say stuff like that, sometimes it's just I just want I'm stuck in my ways, and it's almost like when we talk about like when people say we all fall short of glory to God, it's like we do, but is that an excuse to continue to sin?
It's not even that, right? It's and I know we're getting way off topic when we go back to Shannon Sharpe. But it's the fact that when you have a situation that has propelled you to move faster than when you're normally comfortable with. Yeah. Right? I was comfortable in my singleness because I was controlling the time frame of that singleness. Yeah. I don't control how fast my kids grow up, what they do, things that happen.
Yeah, I get that.
So that's really what I'm talking about. And so that's where I base that argument on is, a single person needs more time to adjust to everything, right? And you being a virgin and you coming into a situation where you're getting into a already married man's bed, totally different situation that you got to adjust to.
I think that's the beauty of learning somebody. You never stop learning your wife. You never stop learning her. And you're going to continue to learn her until you guys go to glory. You know what I'm saying? So I think even in a situation like that, I think from us, we're coming from a point of perspective of starting over and learning a new person's body. You dig what I'm saying? If somebody get a divorce, their wife something happened or whatever, or even somebody, if you've been sexually active and now you're trying to do it the way God wants you to do it, now you have to be like, okay, I'm about to marry this woman, and you guys have sex your first night, and it may not be the same as old girl that was wild and y'all doing all kinds of ungodly stuff because y'all not doing it God's way. So now you're comparing stuff.
No, it's not even about that.
I mean, I'm just saying that's what some people do. It's like they dealing with comparisons.
Like, I feel like it's the perspective we got to have, especially speaking specifically like to Christian men and stuff, is to having our focus on pursuing like God's intention for everything. Yeah. So a lot of time we get stuck in like, oh man, how can I stop from doing this, or how can I improve doing this, that, and the third? But it's like if we shift our focus to reaching for like what the way He intentioned to do things, we'll naturally start to gravitate and learn versus trying to just like build something with no tools. You know what I'm saying? Right. So like shifting the focus from like ourselves and maybe like what we lack or what we want to add or what's going on to like, okay, how can I pursue this whole situation that I'm in a way that God would intend? Like that I feel like that got to be hard for like if we talking about Christian men.
Plus with Christian men, kind of like how you were saying, Jeremiah, like we are here to serve. And so when people think about sex, they view sex as like something that you do to a person, not something that you do with a person.
They just saying that in chat. That's what the chat was saying.
Yeah. So like we like have like from the perspective of Christian men, you have to come at it from the perspective of being a servant and serving the wife that you have. So. And
I like to say as well, if my mom's listening, I am still a virgin, Mom.
Praise God. You got
my church does a great job of breaking this stuff down. That's where I got all this from. I know
your church does a good job of it? Because, man, your church does a good job of it. That's great. That's really great. I'm crying. What do you say they break it down? How do you mean they
so we literally just actually ended this series. It was called Reclaiming Sexuality. So literally like all the stuff we talking about, we literally been going through this in church. So talking about the way God intended sex, talking about people that struggle, with lust, talking about the real intention behind marriage to be like Josh was saying, in servitude to one another and not like selfishly seeking things, and how you gotta like he was talking about Ryan dying to like some of that like self. And so we literally just went through, it was like 6 weeks.
Wow. And I'm looking at the poll responses now. The poll responses, would you want your future spouse to be a virgin? And the majority are saying preferably, but could go either way. You know what I mean? So saying like,
so some of y'all want experience more than the.
It's not even really about experience though.
That's what it is.
No, not so much, because you're talking about making somebody else feel comfortable in their own body that they're not comfortable with. That's what it all.
That's what it sounds like. You want experience more than you want somebody who's never experienced.
No, it's different.
I'm not saying test ride. I'm saying You would
it's
rather,
not even about test riding.
It's not. But what I'm saying to you is, it's about, some people sound like they want somebody who been experienced with sex, so they won't have to treat somebody how to do something.
It sounds like folk lazy. Like, they don't want to that's what you gonna say. Like,
it's
it
not
sound
even that. No, I think
because you just talking about like the beauty, like that's the beauty of becoming one with somebody.
Yeah.
Too. Like that's part of it, bro. Like you can't just jump straight from.
I'm not trying to be vulgar here. I'm not trying to be vulgar here because I know
No,
we got young ears listening to the show, probably even my young ears and my kids' young ears. But when you are at a position, right, and you are, let's just say, taking off your clothes in front of somebody for the first time.
Yeah.
That can be traumatic if you have always had a self-insecurity about it. Y'all remember the Newlywed Show? With
Married at First Sight?
Nick Lachey and Jessica.
Jessica
remember her
Love is
issues?
Blind and stuff.
No, I'm talking about Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson when they first got
That's
married.
probably when they were like,
Y'all were like y'all were 4 and 5. But what I'm saying is go back on any one of these streaming platforms and look at just 1 or 2 episodes. Nick Lachey was super frustrated sexually because she was a virgin when they got married and she never got comfortable with it. She never got comfortable with sex. She would be like, "Oh, I don't want to do that. Oh, no. Do we have to?" And he was always like, and if you think about it, I don't know if it's already like been said, but that was one of the things that led to their breakup. Okay. That was one of the things that led to their breakup because they were just not
I don't think
compatible.
that was just one of the things, bro.
That was that, and the fact that she was completely ditzy in that show.
I think more ditzy than
else.
sex, honestly.
I don't know, man. They just there's some moments, y'all. And you know what? You don't actually have to watch the show. I'm sure there's YouTube clips because she always did this one thing that was really popular. It was
the tuna fish thing.
Yeah, chicken of the sea.
Yeah.
And she didn't know what that meant. Like, and she was like, "Well, how are chickens living in the sea? I thought they couldn't swim."
She had a lot of blonde moments.
Crazy moments.
Allegations on
Yeah. But that's an interesting conversation. Y'all keep it going in the chat. We're gonna
pray for Unc.
Yeah, pray for Unc too, because I mean it's a double standard. It's definitely a double standard from what he said with the whole Brittany Renner conversation. If y'all haven't looked at the Brittany Renner conversation, he tried to shame her for. She said she had been with 3 guys in one night or something, 3 guys in one weekend, and he was just like, "But the next man you meet is not gonna want to deal with that." So y'all check that out. Keep the conversation going in the chat, and we're gonna get back into some more music. You're in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, Shantana, DJ Jeremiah. Leg up.